Hi, my magical friends. It's Jess from my Magical Planner, and today we're going to be planning out our dashboard page for the month of September. I have this Miss and Meow journaling kit I really wanted to use. I pulled out some additional florals. Some of them are from Miss and Meow, some of them letters from Apollo. I also pulled out these leftovers from the Miss and Meow monthly kit that I used last month, because that's where most of this came from. Anyhow, I really loved all the elements on the journaling kit, and so I wanted to use them. And I couldn't decide at first what one I wanted to use first, but decided on the torn paper. So I like it up here in this corner. I did try it down here. I was kind of like, it could be okay, but I want to add florals there. It didn't really fit in the other boxes, and I looked across the top if that would fit. But really going down felt right to me. It gives me a nice crisp corner, but also, a torn page element that was really fun. I take the other torn page element because they were my biggest elements, so I wanted to put them down first. In the end, I decided to put it down in this lower corner, and I kind of like the way that it looks. It kind of reminds me of mountain scene. I also knew I really wanted to pull in this floral. At first I thought maybe the top and having it come down like that, but I didn't like the way the flowers looked in that orientation. So I decided to table it for a minute and kind of look at what my other options were. I really like these flowers at the bottom, but I also knew I wanted to pull these in, or at least I thought I did, until I realized how much brighter the letters to Apollo was comparatively, and that it would make the other stuff feel a little washed out. So in the end, I decided to use this floral down here at the bottom because I like the way that it frames everything up. And because I'm not going to use the letters to Apollo, it's not going to be competing with that. So I decided to use that. And then I pull off this little woodland scene here. And at first I thought about putting it in one of the upper boxes, but it took up so much room that I knew I wouldn't be able to use it functionally. Instead, I put it in that lower box next to the torn page, and it really adds to that mountain wood scene. And I really like that. All right, now I'm going to kind of pull your attention to one thing. So I have the large paper, which is the transparent mat, and then I have the Miss and Meow on the regular mat, and then I had pulled over a letters to Apollo on the transparent mat, and you could really see the difference in the tones, even though I'm pretty sure they're the same clip art. So it just kind of shows you how going with the same shop for your florals can make it look more cohesive. But it just depends. If you used all the florals from a different shop, you could also get that same look. Anyhow, I decided to go ahead and pull in this smaller floral that I could overlay the month script on. And I was debating between the black script from Letters to Apollo or a golden script from Harriet Wright Design. In the end, I decided I wanted that little sparkle at the top and use the Harriet Wright Design. I didn't feel like I needed a bow up there, that it might detract a little bit from it. I also pulled in one of the little butterflies and put it up there. These are super cute, and there's a bunch of them on the page, although you don't notice how many at first. Next, I decided I wanted to pull in this overlay. Now, I've had this for a while in my leftover sticker book, and I think it came as like a freebie or something. But anyhow, I really love the statement on it, which just says, shine, dream, smile. And so I decided to put it there, but I didn't want the edges to be so obvious. So I wanted to kind of frame it out with some florals to kind of blend that harsh edge. And I was figuring out, well, if I do that, then I still have all this space on the side where I can kind of have the boxes that I want in this area. Because typically I'll either use this as my to-do list, my to-buy list, maybe I'm going to track my YouTube or Instagram growth. Those type of things I tend to put in this area. However, I am going to switch it up this month. You'll see in just a second. And I'm kind of going through what am I going to use this for? And what is this other space going to look like? Because I don't want to put too many florals on before I do that. So I'm going to pull off the to-do script because originally I thought, I'm going to put my to-dos here. But I'm looking at it, and the to-do is actually 2 words on the Miss and Meow thing, which sometimes gets me trouble because lining them up can be a little hard for me and getting the spacing right and everything. And so I kind of put it to the side, and I was like, well, I want to put it down here at the bottom, I think, because I don't have a ton of to-dos this month. And I kind of like that, but I wanted it to stick out a little bit too. So I pulled in a page flag from that leftover kit and went ahead and tried to line them up down there. I obviously didn't get them lined up very well. I think if I was going to do it over, I'd probably draw a faint line in there with like pencil or something to kind of line them up better, because by eyeball, I just can't do it. So now I'm going back to that upper right side again, and I'm like, okay, this is where I'm going to do my family. So typically every month I have an area on my dashboard where I make boxes for each family member, and I put something in that box that I feel that family member needs right now. So this is a title box that I wanted to put in. It was a leftover from the monthly kit as well, and pulled in some florals to kind of coordinate it. And that's going to be my title box. And then I'm going to use other boxes to put all my family members in and make sure that I'm looking at what does this person need right now. This is a Simply Gilded pen, by the way, which works amazing. I love this. It was just on my desk, so I grabbed it. I can't figure out where my other pen was that I typically use, but I really love these gel ink pens from Simply Gilded as well. I tend to keep them in my purse because they're very distinct and I know when I've left it somewhere. So I decided I was going to work from the top down. So the top one is my husband, and thinking about, well, what does he need? I don't always know that off the top of my head, and it takes me a while to think, oh, okay, this is what's going on for him. And if I was in his shoes, what would I need? I thought about that box, but it felt too big, so I went with a smaller box. I did want to vary in color a little bit, so I'm putting Ethan down in that one. That's my 17-year-old. He turns 18 in like a month. Oh my gosh. He's getting so old. I'm not sure I'm okay with it. And then below that, I will put the box for my son, Daniel. He's going to be 16 next week. So he obviously, like, there's some different things as far as car stuff and that kind of thing that we really need to get on top of. And then I have my two daughters. So I have Megan and Emily. So I'm looking at Megan's box right now because she's older than Emily. Emily is my youngest. So anyhow, I just wanted to make sure I made room for all of them. And then I'm going back in and thinking about putting in some extra little boxes as like full family things. Like one of the things that my kids really enjoy is we sometimes have what we call family gaming day, which essentially means we all take our laptops, we sit around like our dining room table, and we go ahead and we all play a game together. A lot of times it's Minecraft, but it doesn't have to be. I think we've played Diablo once, at least the older kids and me. We've done Final Fantasy. We've done, oh gosh. I think Minecraft's the big hit though. And I think Genshin is the one that they want to play next. So we might do that one. Anyhow, I'm just go ahead and label those boxes for each one of the kids. And I'm kind of debating on that pink one. I'm like, I'm not sure if I like the spacing there. I'm going ahead and pulling in a bunch of florals now to kind of fill in the spaces. I loved pulling in those trees. I also love the nice curves that some of these florals have. It's just really natural and lends a femininity, I think, to the kit. I also really like the aspect where I think you can overlay a bunch of these florals, and there is a ton on this little page, and make a bigger scene if you want it to. I think they're super versatile and just amazing. And I'm just kind of going in and picking random pieces to put here and there. I added a little greenery underneath Ethan's name and some by Dan. Although I think I pick up the greenery because I realized I had mushrooms and I was like, oh, I like the mushroom better. It looks really cute over here, but it's too much with the leaf. So I'm going to pull the leaf back off and I'll put it over here. I think I found a different place for it, but I can't remember. But I did know I wanted florals by each box because I felt like that kind of, it just looks really cute. And then I had this kind of end of the log piece and I was like, oh, I can use that for something. And that would be kind of cool. It's different. And I like the symbolism of using all those rings to label a family activity, which does end up being family gaming night or day. It's usually a day. Anyhow, it's a little harder to do right now because the two boys are working and they have intense schedules. It'll get better with the school year because they kind of back off on work for school. Anyhow, Now I want to put in all my labels for the boxes on the side. Now I've used these also for a variety of things. A couple things are recurring themes for me, like health. Sometimes I break health up into mental health and physical health, and sometimes I don't. This month I'm not. So that top box is just going to get labeled health. And I wasn't sure if my pen from Simply Gilded, like a gelling pen, would write on the mat. It does write, it does stay, but it does smear a little bit. So I decided to use my microperm pen on that and just write in health. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue to pull in some florals. I did see like a little butterfly here, and it's like, oh, I want to add that over on the side. So I'm just going to go take a moment and do that. I also wanted to pull in more of these trees. I just really like the way that they look. So I pulled one there at the bottom. I thought about putting, like, kind of trying to stagger them and make a scene, but it felt like it just wasn't quite right. And then I thought about adding in this script that said fitness. I believe that's a leftover Miss and Meow script as well, but decided in the end I didn't want that there. Then I had this brilliant idea. So there was this door in the journaling kit, and since one of the boxes I labeled as home, these were things that my house needs. And so I decided I would put the home script that I had on top of the door and then surround it with different elements and be able to make that everything that my house needs this month. And I really love the way that that looks and feels and everything. I do decide to kind of table that for a second because I know I want to put stuff around it, but I'm not sure what. And so I'm like, oh, I want to use this to label the bottom box, which tends to be like my learning or education box. I also saw this month script and I went ahead and added it to the bottom. I just kind of liked the way that it looked and everything, and I felt like it was an appropriate use of the script. Now I'm going back to some of the more decorative elements. I really liked all the florals and I wanted to use them all. And so I had this idea of maybe I can cut it in half and use it to kind of fill in on both sides. And it almost works. The sticker is just a little bit too short to do it that way, but I get a good start. So I'm just finding all my elements. I'm going to cut it. I kind of eyeballed it and it was roughly in the right spot because I don't need an exact mark as long as it's filling in all the way to the edge, which was easy to do. So there we have it on the one side. Kind of makes it look more like a fairy door with the other elements around it, which I think was actually the intent. And I was looking at pulling in some of the other elements, but they seemed too small in comparison. And so I was like, well, what do I do? And I didn't feel like this would reach all the way. So I really contemplated how I was going to fill in that space. And eventually I decided I'm going to use this. And then maybe I'll put a box on the side. But I didn't like the way that looked. Like I put it down and I'm like, maybe not, but I'll leave it for a minute. I decided to use these two leftover little arrows for health. I didn't want more than two because I felt like having more than two would be overwhelming and wouldn't get done. Then I'm looking at, well, maybe I can blend it with this tree. And then I'm like, well, but the tree's sizing is off from the flowers, so I don't really like that. But okay, I'm going to add in this coffee cup. Someone texted me, and so it's like, what's up? Anyhow, so this is me pulling the tree back off, going, well, maybe if I put something else there, maybe that'll be okay. And then I pulled off the box as well and decided to use the other log. And this I felt did really well, but I didn't like the overlapping of the edge. I also pulled off another mushroom to put on that bottom one. And so I'm just going to trim off the edges of the logs so it perfectly fits in that box. And I think just in doing that, it really just works. So I was super happy with the way that turned out. I know it doesn't give me a lot of space to write, but I don't always need a lot of space. I really had two, maybe three things that I was thinking about putting there, and two worked just fine. And I ended up using a tree down here by the this month, and I like that as well. But I didn't end up keeping it. I didn't want it to be too much, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to have the possibility of adding things down there if I wanted to as the month went on. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my microperm pen so I can label that bottom box, which I ended up labeling as education. It's just a personal continued learning thing for me. I want to continue to learn things, and it's also a self-care element. So I did decide to put 2 dots on the box above. I wanted them to be matching color because I feel like that gives it more cohesiveness. Now I'm going back in and writing a little bit for each of my kids. For Ethan, I want to make sure his college and senior stuff is on point. Like I did senior pictures for him yesterday, so I need to edit those and make sure they're ready. For Dan, he's having some issues, like he wants to stay up late so he can do things, and then he's tired the next day. So helping him manage some sleep health stuff, I think would be good for him. Megan, she's going to be pushed a lot over the next little bit. She's starting a new school. She's got a more intense training program for her figure skating. The 7th grade teacher curriculum is just harder. So I mostly put down there that she needs emotional support and I need to be checking in on her. For Emily, I have fight for her 504 because the school doesn't want to hire anybody to actually take on the responsibility of her 504 because they're kind of maxed out. So I might have to get an advocate or something involved with that. For Jared, I mostly put that he needs time to work on his fiber project. I did go back in this morning and add in also that I need to be pushing him to take, even if it's a half a day off, to just do nothing so he can recharge. Now I'm going back in and filling in the other things. For health, I put Noom, which is something I got a subscription for. It hasn't gone great because of the stress of kids going back to school, but I want to continue to do that. And I want to walk every other day and continue with that. I feel better when I walk. For the house stuff, my husband's office, since we got new carpet, a bunch of it went out of his office, but never went back in. And so I want to help him sort through that and get it out of my hallway. And then I also want to get everything situated again after all the carpet because we've been kind of in limbo all summer with that. And I just want to have things kind of set. For education, I said I wanted to read 3 books this month. I'm going to add something else there. And kind of figure that out. For October, like I just signed up to do the virtual Adobe Max, I think it's called, conference and things like that. For to-dos, I have set up a health support system. I'm thinking about doing a Facebook group with like some friends or something of that nature, or maybe we do text every morning with each other, something of that do. I need to redo my morning routine and my evening routine, and I need to schedule more downtime for myself. Anyhow, that's all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there. Until next time, I'll see you guys real soon.